heute Nachmittag in seinem Befehlsstand in der Reichskanzlei bis zum letzten Atem.
The German radio has just announced that Hitler is dead. I repeat that, Hitler is dead.
May 8, 1947, Director FBI J. Edgar Hoover. The American Army officials in Germany have not located Hitler's body, nor is there any reliable source who will say definitely that Hitler is dead. 2 years after the end of the war. This should have been settled history. But you get into these FBI files, and you'll see right away they had an active investigation looking for this guy. This case is a mess. If you look at the FBI files, it throws open the investigation.
Bob Baer is a CIA veteran with over 21 years of experience. One of the most respected intelligence minds in the world, he's dedicated his career to cracking some of the greatest enigmas and has tracked down fugitives like Saddam Hussein.
Most people know me from the movie Syriana. The role George Clooney played was based on my life. You walk into the CIA and there's a quote, "Know the truth, and it will set you free." My boss has always said, you're the only one in this building who believes that. Narrative the government gives us is a lie. You can't tell people the truth because it scares them. And if they get scared, they can't sleep at night. And if they can't sleep at night, they get up in the morning and they vote you out of office. All the stories we've been told about Hitler's bunker, there's nothing to back it up. It's the biggest mystery of the 20th century.
On the 30th of April 1945, with Soviet troops closing in on Berlin, Hitler and his wife, Eva Braun, were reported to have committed suicide in his bunker. On the 2nd of May, Soviet troops searched Hitler's bunker, contaminating the crime scene and shipping his supposed remains to Moscow.
The Russians were into full looting mode. They completely botched the investigation. We have no primary witnesses. We have no forensics.
On the 17th of July 1945, at the Potsdam Conference, Stalin reportedly told other world leaders that he believed Hitler may have escaped.
These are very serious men who are very careful about what they say.
In 2009, a team of American scientists were given access to the remains the Soviets claimed were Hitler's. But DNA analysis revealed they actually belonged to a female.
The forensics we do have make it look as if Hitler got away. So if you've got money and you know what you're doing, you can disappear. In 1945, people wanted the war over, and nobody wanted to dig into what actually happened to Hitler.
In 2014, the FBI declassified the files regarding Hitler's death and opened the door to what could be the biggest cover-up in history.
In these files, there are thousands of leads. This is report after report after report.
Armed with 700 pages of newly declassified documents and the most cutting-edge technology, Bob put together a team of some of the most respected experts in the world. International investigators, Nazi hunters, forensic scientists, investigative journalists, military intelligence, and premier war crimes investigator, Dr. John Sensich.
I was appointed by the United Nations to work the world's most heinous crimes, involving some of the world's worst criminals. The truth is going to come forward from my perspective. It's going to be objective, and that's what I want to do.
We are not going to make our conclusions in advance. If you can provide me the evidence he died in that bunker, I'll be as happy as if he got away. I just want to do the definitive investigation on Hitler and for once and all, settle this damn thing.
Do we have that other photograph? The one that the Soviets took?
Using the declassified documents containing thousands of potential new clues, Bob utilizes a powerful military tool to identify a starting point for his investigation. This software will scan the documents for recorded sightings of Hitler after reports of his death, to see if there are consistencies of activity on a map.
It's a needle in a haystack, but it's a lot smaller haystack when you got software like this. I'm going to set it for all locations where he was sighted between April 25th, 1945 and July 25th, 1945, the first 100 days. And those are the most important days. I know from experience tracking terrorists, those first 100 days were the times he was on the move. That's when he was most exposed. That's when you're going to have witnesses to his flight. Look at Berlin. Look at Spain.
Now, Spain's interesting.
Yeah, but look at Argentina. I mean, it's just exploding. If you look at that pattern, it's clearly Argentina where we have to start. Problem is, Argentina's a big country. We need something more specific.
Hundreds of FBI documents place Hitler in Argentina, but they need to find consistencies if they're going to give the sightings any credibility.
A letter to Mr. J. Edgar Hoover. You know, that really piques my interest. Here it says, he's living in a great underground establishment.
Look at this, look at this. Here's a second FBI document, different sourcing. Look at this. It's August 11th, 1945. Hitler is in Argentina. He is living in a great underground establishment with hundreds of Nazis, 675 miles west of Florianopolis, 450 miles north-northwest from Buenos Aires. If it's one report, yeah, so what? But when you got two, it's something.
Bob cross-references the two coordinates mentioned in the FBI files, and the computer identifies a GPS location in the middle of rural Argentina.
The closest community is Churata. John, what do we know about Churata?
It's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, look at this. The language is spoken: English, Spanish, and German.
It's a long way from home. You have to see if, in fact, there was a German community out there, which will start to give substance to this FBI report. If we get out there and it's just a bunch of Argentine farmers who don't even know where Germany is, never heard of it, then we got a problem. The first phase of this investigation is to pressure test the FBI files. Only once do you get on the ground can you actually start to corroborate information. There's usually some piece of it that's true and other pieces that are not. It's now time to put boots on the ground.
Churata's our place.
Bob has assembled a team of international experts in Argentina to tackle the first part of the investigation.
Tim Kennedy, Special Forces, spent a career in the military tracking high-value targets, Iraq, Afghanistan, cartels. He knows what he's doing.
I have hunted high-value targets like bin Laden for 15 years. There's nobody on the planet that could do this better. I have access to new technology that is enabling us to look at something that's 70 years old and breathe new life into it.
Gerard Williams, investigative reporter, great reputation, BBC, Reuters, dedicated a decade to studying Nazis in South America. He's the kind of guy I need to sift the evidence to tell me whether we're on firm ground or not.
I was in Argentina on a story, and I came across this idea that Adolf Hitler had escaped to Argentina on a submarine. About a year into it, I realized there was so much about the official history that was just plain wrong. My father was a combat veteran. 6 years he fought the Nazis. He was wounded 3 times. That generation was lied to. This story needs telling.
Finally, Steve Rombaum, Nazi hunter, he's tracked more than 170 of these guys in remote, tight-knit communities all around the world.
If you are a war criminal, this is your last chance.
Won't be the first time or the 500th time that I've gone into a hostile environment to get these guys. I'm not intimidated. They're a lot more afraid of me than I was of them.
Once in Churata, the team concentrate on tracking down individuals that could have provided a support network for Hitler in this area.
We're trying to find information out about German people.
You can put Hitler in a bunker, you can put him in a farm, you can put him in a hayloft. What matters is having known associates that can support his movement and protect him. We were very effective in doing that in catching bin Laden. We were able to track his informants and his couriers and how he was getting information out and getting information in.
The team receives a crucial lead. The name of Churata's oldest living German resident, a man who may have witnessed Nazi activity in the area 70 years ago.
When you are looking at not just a cold case, but a frozen case, evidence is gone, people are dead. To have access to this living eyewitness, almost 70 years later, that's huge. We would like to ask him some questions about the history of the German community here.
Tiene una historia grande.
He's got a big story.
Estuve en la escuela, formar filas, todo eso, pero en la escuela.
Standing lines.
Fila de tres. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Drill, military drill. Okay. Were the teachers in the school supportive of the Nazis?
Puede, sí, sí.
Did they fly the swastika flag at the school?
Sí.
Yes.
They did fly it. I have one more question. I want to push a little bit here. Was he part of the Hitler Youth?
¿Era parte de la juventud de Hitler?
I never even imagined that I would come and talk to people about something that occurred 70 years ago, and I would see anxiety, reservation, fear, but that's how it is.
Look, can't force him to tell us. Okay, we're done. We know, yes, there were Nazi sympathizers here. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Yes, there were Nazi activities at the school. Is there ability in the area to build a significant underground facility? We're about to find out.
This case is 70 years old. It's the biggest mystery of the 20th century.
With the release of 700 pages of declassified FBI files, CIA veteran Bob Baer and war crimes investigator John Sensich have reopened the case into the death of Adolf Hitler.
There's no decent forensics. All the witnesses are dead. There's no fingerprints, and the forensics we do have make it look as if Hitler got away.
If someone from Hitler's family came forward and tried to cash in on an insurance policy, no life insurance company in the world would have paid out.
The investigation has begun in Argentina, where 2 FBI files place Hitler in a bunker near a rural farm town 3.5 months after his alleged death.
Look at this, look at this. Hitler is in Argentina. He is living in a great underground establishment.
Tirata's our place.
Bob's team of investigators are looking into a German school in the same area, indicated in the FBI documents.
This is the older parts of town.
This is the school?
Yes.
Check this place out.
It's a big school. Chain link fence, the 8-foot wall.
It's hard to figure out if it's to keep people in or out.
You build things particular ways, and you build them in particular places for very specific reasons. And I immediately recognized that the similarities between this school and military bases are very, very, very close.
Big playground.
You could probably have 100 people goose-stepping across this lawn.
Here, boys aged 14 to 18 trained to be Nazi soldiers. They swore absolute and fanatical loyalty to the Führer before being shipped off to fight. This area was just part of a worldwide Hitler Youth Army, made up of over 8 million boys from 52 different countries.
They get a hold of these kids young. They start indoctrinating them into the idea of how wonderful it is to be a Nazi. And it's something that's going on even to today, as ISIS is doing the exact same thing. Everyone here would have been honored to have Hitler come here and given their life to protect his hiding. This is a huge compound.
Wow, look at those.
This is very much an Argentine national symbol with the sun and the red hat, the joint hands, and then the fellows of the Argentine flag, blue and white. Next to it, we've got a German eagle. This is a German school in Argentina. The German community's been here before the Nazis came to power. There was a big influx of Germans after the First World War. With the rise of the Nazi Party in the 1930s, you could be proud of being German again, and if you wanted to do well in your community, you became a Nazi. These people were sworn to die before they did anything that would damage the Führer.
Buenos días.
Hola, buen día. Buen día.
Mucho gusto, ¿cómo les va? Mucho gusto. Tim.
Hola. Juan Alberto, ¿cómo le va?
The team meet up with Juan Alberto, who has spent decades unearthing German activity in this small farm town. His locally published book chronicles the little-talked-about Nazi presence in Chirata.
Y me gustaría mostrarles una fotografía de la colonia alemana con el nacionalsocialismo.
Check this out.
So here's everybody doing the Hitler salute in front of this school. Man, it's crazy. Was there any communication from this community to other communities, German communities around?
Y a través de la embajada me imagino que habrán instalado esa antena y tener el equipo de recepción. Les pegaban un mapa y bueno, a los alumnos les hacían el seguimiento de cómo se desarrollaba la guerra, ¿no? Marcando los puntos de avance. Había asociaciones germanas en todo el país, de alguna manera. Y sí, la de Charata estaba vinculada con esas.
So big German community, tracking the war, communication with others, and the embassy.
At the height of the Third Reich, 60,000 Nazis lived in Argentina, creating a network of interconnected communities throughout South America. Some of these communities could have become sleeper cells, acting as a launch pad for an invasion of the Americas.
It'd be very easy to take Hitler, put him into this network, this spider web of a bunch of different communities, and he's gone. That's how Osama bin Laden was able to disappear.
The team worked their way through the rest of the school, searching for clues that could link this location to an underground bunker in the area.
Okay, let's look at the books.
This is all entirely in German.
See if you find anything that looks like Mein Kampf. Oh, look at this. Who was Carlos Buck?
Or those initials are in a whole bunch of books in here.
Carlos Buck?
Carlos Buck era un comerciante fuerte en Charata y es el que impulsó la última etapa de la escuela alemana.
Does he know anything about any underground structure, any hidden parts of the school?
En la escuela no. En 1970 se descubrió un sótano en una chacra al oeste de Charata, del radio urbano.
Okay.
He write about all that stuff?
It's mentioned in his book.
Chacra de una familia alemana. Descubrieron, vieron que había armas, había estandartes, había bibliografía.
There is a FBI memo that there was an underground bunker here. Now, this guy who is a historian, pretty darn credible one, who literally wrote the book on Germans in this town, tells us the exact same thing. All of a sudden, this is possibly not a wild goose chase.
And he can get us directions about how to find this farm.
¿Usted nos podría indicar cómo llegar hasta este lugar?
No.
We'll keep it confidential. We'll just show up there and
Van a mantener confidencial, dice.
tell him I've been a detective for 30 years. I've kept bigger secrets than this. 75 years later, people in this town are still afraid to give up information about Germans. This guy who wrote the book on the German community seems like a pretty tough guy, not a guy who's going to be pushed around. Even he wants to go outside and tell me privately in a very low voice where this farm is and who owns the house. Where is the house? For the beginning of an investigation, we're off to a running start.
Look at this, look at this. Hitler is in Argentina. He is living in a great underground establishment.
Recently declassified FBI documents that reference Argentina and place Adolf Hitler in a remote area have led a team of investigators to look into local reports of a nearby bunker.
This is a report that there was a farmhouse that was west of Chirata, used by Nazi supporters.
We have an FBI document that says the same thing. That's not a coincidence.
While Gerard combs through the archives for any reports of Nazis operating in Chirata, Tim, Steve, and their translator head deep into the countryside in search of the underground bunker.
This would have been way out of town. My entire career has been driven by this idea of mission first, mission first, mission first. You know, like, it doesn't matter what the obstacles are, you're still gonna complete your mission, and you're still gonna put mission first. And we're trying to investigate one of the most important historical occurrences that's ever happened, and we have an opportunity to maybe find some truth to that. And that's my mission.
Is this it?
This is it.
You know, you hear the expression in the middle of nowhere. This was in the middle of nowhere. If you're looking for a clandestine activity for the Nazis in this area, man, this is the perfect location. Your nearest neighbor is 5, 10 miles away. I mean, they could have had artillery practice there and nobody would have known.
Okay. Buenas tardes. ¿Cómo le va? Mucho gusto, Leonardo.
When I did the Nazi war crimes investigations in Canada, one thing I learned is that each witness requires special handling. Even how you say hello sometimes affects whether the person talks to you or not.
You own a very interesting piece of property.
You can tell them the story that we heard was that there was a room or a basement that had been closed. And when they found it and opened it, there were all of these, you know, items in there.
There's a basement here, but there's nothing.
They didn't find anything in it.
Usted no sabe si encontraron. No. They don't know anything about that. His dad bought the property in 1952.
Maybe his dad found it.
Yeah. Imposible.
Imposible porque era todo mercadería. Desde el primitivo habitante
They were just goods.
Almacén de ramos generales.
It was just a store, a general store.
Why would you have a store out in the middle of nowhere? You're miles and miles and miles from town, and you're just gonna set up shop and start selling from there? Makes zero sense.
We're researching German activity. Was there a German community in this area?
No.
No.
When you want to give credibility to an informant, you ask questions that you know the answer to. We know in the mid-20th century, the vast majority of the inhabitants of this area were German.
In this area, there was no big number of Germans.
No, he says he doesn't know anything about that.
70 years after the end of the war, and these people today are terrified to tell us anything. Absolutely a wall of silence. But I know how to get witnesses to talk to me. So tell him that this is probably not the place we're looking for. They had the house and they had the store. Did they always know about the basement?
They kept all the drinks, especially the beer, because it was so hot here, and in the basement it was fresh,
right.
It was cool. He can show us the basement if you want to.
Please, por favor, please.
In the United States, we call them root cellars. Just a little tiny basement dug into the floor where you can store goods that you want to keep for a little bit longer. But local intel is telling us that this particular one is different.
That's the cellar.
Check this out.
Very interesting.
Look at that. Is it possible to look inside? This is very unusual in this part of Argentina, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We pull the boards off. It's these stairs that are carved. You can't see the bottom. You know what? This is terrifically well constructed. Look at the walls. This is not packed dirt. This is actual, you know, man-made walls.
My expectation of a root cellar underneath a farm was going to be, you know, some shoddy mud-type support with maybe some wood beams and a dirt floor. couldn't have been further from the truth. The construction was very, very well made walls with brick and cement and gigantic, thick overhead beams with tile on top of it.
Wait a second. Check this out. Holy moly.
Yeah, it's a
air shaft?
Yep. The bunkers that I've seen when we were in Baghdad, Iraq, have subterranean features that looked very similar to this site. This is actually well designed for ventilation. You always have to have two of them. You have to create a draft. That's what this side is right here. Very suspicious.
Storage cellars were common in South America during the 1940s, but this underground room has been reinforced with concrete and contains a complex ventilation system. There are two separate air shafts, which allow for the circulation of clean, oxygen-rich air in through one end and dirty, oxygen-deficient air out through the other. This engineering could potentially allow people to live underground for months at a time. Innovations in underground construction flourished during the Third Reich. The Nazis perfected the use of reinforced concrete and completed hundreds of underground bunker projects throughout occupied Europe.
I gotta tell you, this is a hell of a little room here.
The FBI files, they clearly say a large underground bunker. A meeting place for hundreds of high-ranking Nazi officials in the area. So, is this the bunker from the files? Probably not. But could it be part of a larger network of moving German war fugitives in and out of Tirana? Absolutely.
Back in town, Steve and Tim meet up with Gerard, who's uncovered a huge clue.
I've been thinking as well, found what can only be described as a biblical listing of important Nazis in Argentina. This is from the military attaché, American U.S. military attaché. It's come straight out of the German embassy files. The following list represents those, quote, good Nazis in the provinces, who can always be depended on to contribute to various Nazi funds and to spread Nazi propaganda. We have here one of the most important Nazis in Chaco province, the man from the school, Carlos Buck.
There's a U.S. Army military intelligence document that tells us Carlos Buck, also known as Karl Buck, German national, very involved with the German school, is a known Nazi agent in Tirana, Argentina.
Carlos Buck owned property in the greater Tirana area, and specifically downtown. There could have been a basement or an underground area beneath Carlos Buck's property.
Okay.
The first things you have to look at, what support structures in place that could enable somebody and facilitate them to run and hide. We were very effective in doing that in catching bin Laden. Hitler could have been enabled here by Carlos Buck. I have a buddy that I was in the Army with. He was in military intelligence while he was in the service, and now he works for a company that does ground penetrating radar. This thing can penetrate the ground up to 30 feet. Anything that's hidden underground, I mean, even bodies.
I mean, this really is the center of the local German activity. We got to go visit this place.
Find me a bunker.
Let's go take a look.
Recently declassified FBI files appear to have placed Hitler at a bunker in rural Argentina.
Check this out.
Here's everybody doing the Hitler salute in front of this school.
So the investigation team have narrowed their search towards prominent local Nazi, Carlos Buck. They believe his property could have housed the bunker mentioned in the FBI files.
That's an old house. This is a potentially critical piece of evidence. If there is, in fact, a bunker on this property, a concealed room that was used by Adolf Hitler, it's a big deal.
Been a while, yeah. Just glad I got a hold of you.
Tim's old comrade from Iraq, David Kelly, arrives with his state-of-the-art ground-penetrating technology.
Anything that you're looking for, we're gonna be able to find. There it is.
Are we still on time?
But before they can investigate, they need to obtain permission from the current owner.
Come on, get your ass in the vehicle.
Sorry?
Get in. This is the first time in this investigation that may be within reach of actual testable evidence. But I can tell you that one slip, that's it. We're done here. All right, Leo, need to say what I say in the same tone?
Yeah.
You need to generate the impression that I'm a serious guy. I've done this 1,000 times in 1,000 places.
Okay.
Trust me.
I trust you completely.
Right here. Here. Okay, just you and me, Leo. Let's go.
Can you see him?
Negative.
I'm asking you for your help. This
Sure.
is a very important question of history.
Le pido su ayuda, es una cuestión muy importante de historia.
Puesto caso que encuentren algo, ¿qué hacen?
With you? Nothing.
Con usted nada.
Sí. Muchas gracias. Okay. Muchas gracias, señora.
With permission from the owner of the property, the team head to the huge plot that was once owned by local Nazi Carlos Buck.
Start rocking it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Break him out, baby. Find me something, man.
If it's there, I'll find it. We're digging into a 70-year-old cold case using something that moves around like a lawnmower.
It's really calm.
But ground penetrating radar is a remarkable tool. Every step that you take, you get a snapshot of what's underneath your feet. It can seed through 20, 30 feet of dirt and rock to see what's underneath it.
This ground-penetrating technology is so powerful that it's trusted by the American military to locate hidden explosives in life-and-death situations. The state-of-the-art equipment sends pulses of energy into the ground, measures the time it takes for that signal to return to the surface, and creates an image of what lies beneath.
Nothing really in this area over here. Just really consistent, really mellow, nothing happening. No bueno?
Yeah, no bueno.
I'll keep scanning through. Ooh, look at that. Tim? Starting to get some busy matter going on here, some soil disturbance. This is where we have our most disturbance. But the problem is I can't go through the stockpile or get around it.
So it's possible that there's something here, and right as you're coming up to it, it's kind of...
Yeah, if I could push it just a little bit further, we could see more and get a better understanding of what's going on below the surface.
Find me a bunker?
I'm actually finding areas of interest by the cinder block.
Yeah, you can see da-da-da ends.
Yeah.
Great. We're surveying the property, and we find one little blip that looks like the beginning of an entrance. And 1 foot later are 5 tons of bricks just sitting there, covering whatever that little anomaly is the edge of. And we can't get to it. Okay.
The best approach for this is actually rolling right over top of it.
Is that an option?
You know what? It's not an off-the-shelf application or option, but I think at this point, we worked so hard to get in here, we should give anything a shot.
In my long military experience, you can have the best plan in the world, and once the first gunfire goes off, it changes everything. And your ability to adapt is super important. That's no different here. We came to a roadblock, but ultimately, we have to be able to be flexible and execute regardless.
Let me try something.
David Kelly adjusts the settings on the ground-penetrating radar. Now the device can look beyond the interference of the cement blocks and penetrate the ground beneath them.
And now I'm starting to pick up activity.
Seriously?
Yeah, and that's definitely an area of interest down here.
In any investigation, there are very few moments that I know are going to be definitive. This is going to be one of them. This is kind of freaking me out.
So a little disturbance right here.
After further investigating the property with the radar,
I think we're done. Hopefully we'll be able to find something.
Tim Kennedy uploads the data to Bob and John, who are back at base camp in LA.
From my experience using GPR in a number of different types of criminal investigations, when you look here, you see certain anomalies. You can see that the depth here is different.
Yeah, but what does that tell you, that depth?
That depth here tells me that something here is buried 8 to 10 feet below the surface of the ground. Something has happened with the soil. It's disturbed soil. Was it a place this underground facility could have been located? Yes.
If this were a Hollywood movie, we would dig up a bunker and we'd find Adolf Hitler in it. But it's not a movie. This is a real investigation. We did find a structure, 8 to 10 feet underground. It very well could be the bunker that's noted in the FBI files. But this is private property. We're just not going to get permission to dig there.
We know for a fact that we have enough evidence and enough information to move this investigation forward. There are things that existed in Chirata that were also important. We had a Nazi community there, and there was a smaller underground facility, so really there was a network there which corroborates the information that was provided to the FBI in 1945. We need to look at something else to help justify the next steps in this case and really where we're going.
It may have been entirely possible that Hitler was in Chirata and then got up and moved several months later.
Right.
You cannot set up in one place indefinitely because eventually news will get out of your presence. You look at Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad. He was there too long. Now, if he had moved around, it would have made it virtually impossible for the Central Intelligence Agency to catch him. That's what we have to consider here.
So they're going to have to get to another German community, another Nazi-supported community.
But where? But where would you go at that point? And is there any other leads we have?
Yeah, well, wait a minute. Let me check on something here.
To help further the investigation, John turns to the 700 pages of declassified FBI files.
All right. The Nazis in Misiones are reported to control a system of roadways known only to them.
So this is exactly what I'm talking about. Chirata, Misiones. Did they have an underground network that they could move people along this?
Reports of clandestine travel routes that connect Chirata to Misiones reveal a new potential location for their fugitive, Adolf Hitler.
7 hours, that's nothing. 600 kilometers?
That's not that far at all.
Probably a dirt road, unpoliced. Hitler out of uniform, his hair changed, wearing glasses, would go unrecognized down a road like this.
It's been in the news very recently on Misiones that there are archaeologists that have found numerous artifacts related to Nazis.
Deep in Argentina's northern jungle, researchers have found items dating back to Germany.
Fabricado en Alemania.
Porcelain yang bertuliskan Made in Germany.
In among the lush vegetation, the ruins of a house-like structure may have been at one time a Nazi safe haven.
They found German pottery, they found structures and other artifacts. They're anomalous. They shouldn't be there. Why are they in the middle of this jungle?
Right now, there's an archaeological dig at Misiones unearthing Nazi artifacts. They're digging up evidence that was not available in 1945. Was it possible Hitler could have gone there?
This is the place where we should be sending the team.
Got to do it now.
Let's do it.
How does somebody live out here? There could have been Nazis here. We know that. That means that there's a chance Hitler could have come here. This investigation, it's red hot right now. It could be completely blown open.
Coming up on Hunting Hitler.
That's a swastika.
In order to get at the truth, you've got to hit the ground.
Holy crap. Hey, whoa.
We have to run this evidence down. We are the ones that are finally going to do it because no one has.
Not much air in here, guys.
We're going to look for submarines, or we're going to look for airplanes.
Holy crap.
It might be the frame of the fuselage.
There's going to be no easy answers. You got to talk to the right people.
Hitler was here.
He said so.
And you have to ask the right questions.
Is he telling me there was an Enigma machine at his grandfather's place?
It's the only way you can get to the answers.
We came looking for the footprints of Adolf Hitler through Spain, and I think we found them.
Hitler had a whole city to himself down here, and nobody knew about it. Hitler could have escaped Germany. But right now, I feel like I'm right behind him.
Once you actually get into the grass and you start looking at the evidence...
All right, I'm in. Stop right there, George. What's that?
Things are always more complicated.
Guys, let's get the hell out of here.
And the more blowback you get, the closer you are to the truth.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, there we go. We've got something man-made.
This could be a U-boat.
We're going to walk away from this
What the hell is that?
with answers we've never had before.
Is that a swastika?
This is the end of the story. I'm going to stop at nothing, find out what really happened to Hitler. Period.
I think we got it.